People said Ethan was the kind of man who carried the weight of 2 lives on his shoulders, his own and his little daughter's. And most days, it showed. He worked long shifts, picked up extra hours whenever he could, and still barely managed to keep the lights on. But no matter how tired he was, he never missed Ray's bedtime story. It was their sacred moment, one quiet promise in a loud world. That morning, Ethan wasn't thinking about bedtime stories. He was thinking about the fact that he had 20 minutes to pitch an idea that could change everything, for him, for his coworkers, maybe even for the entire company. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't big. But it was honest, practical, and built from real struggle. And yet, deep down, he feared exactly what happened next. Before we begin the full story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps our channel, Kindness Lights, bring more powerful stories your way. Narrator. Ethan stood at the front of the glass-walled conference room, holding a folder he had printed at home. Some pages were slightly smudged because his old printer was unreliable. The CEO, Victoria Hale, sat across the table, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She was known for running the company with precision, performance, and profit. Kindness was not something people associated with her. Ethan cleared his throat and began presenting his idea, an employee support program that would allow flexible scheduling, shared childcare resources, and small emergency grants funded by voluntary contributions. People are burning out, he explained. Some of us are struggling silently. If we don't feel supported, productivity drops anyway. But if we feel cared for, everything changes. Victoria didn't even let him finish. She closed the folder, slid it back across the table, and said, "Your heart is in the right place, Mr. Cole, but this is not a charity. We run a corporation. This proposal is neither practical nor profitable." Her words stung more than he expected. He gathered his folder, nodded, and walked out, feeling every bit like the single dad who didn't belong in the land of power suits and million-dollar decisions. That night, he tried to hide his disappointment from Ray. She noticed anyway. "Daddy, why are your eyes sad?" she whispered as he tucked her in. Ethan kissed her forehead and said, "Because sometimes grown-up ideas don't work out." Ray reached up and placed her tiny hand on his cheek. "Then think of a kinder idea. Kind ideas always win." Her words stayed with him long after she fell asleep. The next few weeks at work were tense. Rumors spread that the company was losing major clients. People whispered in the hallways, fearing layoffs. Victoria held closed-door meetings day after day. Morale dropped. Stress rose. And Ethan kept thinking about his daughter's words, "That kind ideas always win." But his idea had already been dismissed, so what could he do? One stormy afternoon, the building lights flickered. Then everything went dark. The entire city block lost power. Emergency systems kicked in, but the computer servers, the ones holding every crucial client file, were at risk. Without immediate action, the company could lose years of work and millions of dollars. Panic spread. People rushed around helplessly. Even Victoria looked shaken. Ethan wasn't an executive. He wasn't even a senior employee. But he knew the building's old wiring better than most. He had once helped maintenance during overtime shifts. He understood exactly what was failing, and what they needed to do to prevent a total shutdown. He ran to Victoria's office, breathless. "I know how to fix this," he said. "But I need people. And I need them to trust each other." She was skeptical, but she didn't have a choice. "Fine," she said. "Tell me what you need." Ethan pointed to a group of employees from different departments. "We need teams on every floor to manually reroute power for the servers. But we have to coordinate. No one can do this alone." Victoria hesitated for a moment, then surprised everyone by rolling up her sleeves. "All right," she said. "Tell us where to start." For the first time, people saw her differently, not as a cold CEO, but as someone willing to stand beside them, not above them. Ethan led the charge. Teams moved through stairwells with flashlights. People who had never spoken to each other before worked side by side. Mistakes were forgiven. Instructions were repeated patiently. Everyone helped everyone. And in that chaotic, dimly lit building, something extraordinary happened. People felt connected. Supported. United. Exactly the world Ethan had envisioned with his kindness-driven program. After 3 exhausting hours, the servers stabilized. The data was saved. The company was saved. And everyone knew it happened because the people trusted each other, not because of titles, but because of teamwork and heart. Later that night, Victoria approached Ethan quietly. "I dismissed your idea," she admitted. "Not because it was bad, but because I underestimated the power of what you were trying to do. Today proved something. People don't work for companies. Companies work because of people." Ethan nodded, unsure what to say. Then she added, "I want your program on my desk tomorrow morning. Fully approved. And I want you to help lead it." It took a moment for her words to sink in. He wasn't just being acknowledged, he was being entrusted. Valued. Seen. When Ethan went home that night, Ray was waiting by the door in her pajamas. "Daddy. Did your idea work this time?" Ethan knelt and hugged her tightly. "Yes," he whispered. Because kindness really did win. Over the next months, the new employee support program changed everything. People were happier, more motivated, and more loyal. Productivity rose. New clients returned. And the company became known not just for profit, but for compassion. Victoria often said the company's greatest turning point wasn't a strategy meeting or a new contract. It was the night the lights went out, and kindness lit the way. Narrator. And maybe that's a lesson for all of us. In a world that often celebrates power, perfection, and performance, we forget that the strongest force we carry is kindness. The kind that listens. The kind that lifts. The kind that sees people before profit. If Ethan's simple idea could save an entire company, imagine what one small act of kindness could do in your life, your family, your community. Because at the end of the day, kindness doesn't just change stories. It saves them.